Hello and welcome to the PMQ Live update for today, which is Tuesday, July 21st. July is just marching along. We're almost through it, guys. Hang in there. Today, we're lucky enough to have a couple guys on the panel. We have a couple U.S. Pizza team members, Mr. Peter Anderson of Gelsosomo's in Crown Point, Indiana. Gelsosomo's in Region Tap, I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then we've got Jamie Culleton, U.S. Pizza team athletic coach from the Nona Slice House down in Safety Harbor. How you doing there, Jamie?
Doing good. How are you?
Very good. So today, as we know, we always kind of come back to the situation. I don't like to call it by its name, but we want to. There's a different wave now that we're going up and down on the roller coaster, and certain people have been closed down and they've survived that and they've opened back up. But now there's the fear of relapse and maybe somebody testing positive in your restaurant. And unfortunately, both of these gentlemen have had that case, but they've been able to rebound back from it. So I wanted to talk to Peter and Jamie just a little bit about what happens when somebody tests positive and maybe how to control the message to the public and how to get people back. So real quick, I want to give you guys both a couple minutes. Peter, just tell us really quick who you are and about Crown Point. I'm sorry, Gelsosomo's in Crown Point.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brian. My name is Peter Anderson. I own Gelsosomo's Pizzeria in Crown Point, Indiana. We're basically just over the border from Chicago on the Indiana side. I've been making pizza since I was 15 years old. Started in 1989, so this is my 31st year. Was a partner at a place for a while. Was able to open my own store in Crown Point in 2007, and we've been going ever since.
All right. It's definitely a nice place. I got to stop by there one time, but you weren't there. But I did get a couple slices for the road. Jamie, why don't you tell us a little bit about you down there in Safety Harbor? I know this is a new location. Has it been about a year or how long?
I guess it's been about 15 or 16 months now. The Nona Slice House in Safety Harbor. It's my first business that I've owned. I've been in the business for 25 years. I've done just about almost everything there is to do in that respect, but this is my first one I've owned. So it's been a pretty wild year, a great year, but obviously this challenge has been a interesting way to end my first year. So yeah,
well, definitely. And I haven't been there yet. I keep trying to make our times just don't cross when I'm down there visiting family. But I mean, you're technically all, I don't want to say all patio, but I mean, it's just an open air kind of concept.
When I took over the existing location, they had a few indoor seats, but it was real awkward. So I changed that to just our to-go takeout. Peter's been there. He came by last year. But it's all outdoor. Essentially, it's all outdoor, which has been an interesting dynamic with what's going on with the virus now, because the regulations are different from an indoor versus an outdoor seating. So that's something that we've had to consider, but also, perception is reality. And so you have to walk that line very carefully as to not be perceived as doing something irresponsible or, not following regulations according to what some people think the regulation is versus what it really is with indoor and outdoor. So it's been a challenge. It really has been, because we've more or less stuck to the regulations of an indoor restaurant, even though we are an all outdoor seated restaurant.
Well, there's nothing. There's no problem in being extra careful. So,
sure.
I did want to ask you guys real quick, and again, give you about 2 minutes here on each. When this first hit the fan way back in, what was it, the end of February, beginning of March, what were the first steps that you did up in Indiana at Crown Point, Peter? I mean, what were some of the first steps? And then Jamie, it'll be the same question. So the first steps, kind of where you were at today, within 2 minutes, kind of a rundown.
I was having a rough time with it because I saw what was happening, and the NBA shut down and they canceled baseball, and I saw this tidal wave coming. I had all these events scheduled and stuff, and I was weird about promoting them because the tide was turning of public perception, and I actually was relieved when our governor made the lockdown, and at that point we were not allowed to have any dining room or bar seating. So you
were relieved at that point?
I was relieved because I mean, it sucked, but at least I knew, there was some
Right.
certainty, like, okay, we're closed. We got to be closed in the dining room and the bar. And, so then there was some certainty about the situation. And then, I could sit down with my general manager and my wife, and we could, come up with a plan for moving forward.
Okay, well, I could definitely see how there's a little bit of a sturdiness or stability, like you said, hopefulness when they finally came out with the regulations. Now it's no longer a guessing game on your behalf. Because
Right.
I don't know if it was me, I would always be guessing worst case scenario. So my restrictions might be too harsh. But Jamie, down in Florida, I mean, early on it wasn't that bad, and now it has become a little worse. But when I
we're
first
like
started,
the epicenter down here. I mean, it's
what's the roller coaster you've been on as far as what you've been doing up until the cases showed up?
Well, I think the same thing. Kind of what Peter's saying. It was, you're somewhat thankful that there's somebody besides yourself trying to make these calls on what to do during a pandemic. But in the beginning, you are waiting to see what the regulations are, and then, I mean, as I think everybody can agree, the government has just been all over the place with what's supposedly safe, what's not safe, what's what to do. So we definitely went full force, shut it down, to go only, and that kind of thing. But as Florida being one of the first ones that opened back up, then you go, okay, well, what do I got to do now? And then they have, I don't know if they're doing this everywhere, but now there's a rule where if you sit down, you can take your mask off. If you stand up, you can put it on.
Yeah.
If it's like you're doing the hokey pokey, turning yourself around, and I have no idea what that has to do with the spread of a virus, whether I'm sitting down or standing up or whatever. So it's really challenging to figure it out, and to really now, as a business owner, you're having to make these decisions for public health, which has been definitely somewhat confusing. So sometimes the best option is to just go beyond whatever the regulations are, just in case. And we've actually gone back to just carry out and pick up because of my thoughts of just being shut down again. I mean, I cannot open, shut, open, shut, open, shut. I mean, that's sort of what, if you're following government regulations, is kind of what they're doing to you now. Like, oh no, you're good. Oh no, you're not good. Oh, now we've got, like I said, the sit down, stand up thing. I mean, it's just better to be safe than sorry. I think so.
Well, and it does seem like they're trying to do their best to keep regulations going that are going to keep us healthy, as well as keep everything from shutting down again. You're absolutely right. You can't keep opening up and shutting down.
No,
because not only are you going to anger your staff, you're going to anger your customers, and
right.
At some point you might just flip out and just say, "I'm done with it."
I
And
mean,
that's
even
terrible.
now we have guests that kind of look at us like, well, how come you guys aren't open? How come you guys aren't doing this and that? You kind of want to say, I don't know if you've seen the news, but there's a worldwide pandemic going on, and but unfortunately, they, like I said, they want you to be in charge of public health and safety, and while we have a responsibility to that, none of us are experts on worldwide viruses. I'm just not. That's just not my field. So it's tough. It's tough, and it's tough to make everybody happy right now, especially as divided as everybody is on whatever whatever side they choose to be on, and what beliefs come with that, and all that kind of stuff. So
I think anxiety for owners is just through the roof right now.
100%.
Yeah. At first it was kind of okay, but just the past few weeks, I just feel like my anxiety is just up and up and up.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, that kind of brings us back to the main topic of this talk here real quick. I mean, what was for both of you guys, maybe you guys can talk it out because I'm not sure how much you've talked in because you've been dealing with it, but how did you find out? I mean, about your staff member testing positive? Is this something where they came in, they didn't feel well, and you're like, go get tested? Did they go get tested on their own and tell you? Was it something, obviously I figured they would probably want to tell you right away, or is it something you had to pry out of them? And then what did you do? I mean, at that point, what's the first response somebody should do when that happens? I mean, I guess, Peter, why don't you go first real quick?
So in my city where my restaurant is, there was like 4 other places that had it. And I kind of had in the back of my head, I was like, this could happen to us. It's coming. So I kind of basically devised an action plan before it even happened. And how it went down is the staff member that had it, they did not have any symptoms while at the restaurant, and the next day they woke up and then they had symptoms, and it was the smell and the taste and the fever is what they had. So they went and got tested on their own, and then I was advised by my GM of what that they were going to get tested, and then we got the results on a Sunday night that they were positive, and then the next morning is when I shut it down.
Okay, so it was relatively quick, and it's something where they came in and you were aware of it from the whole time. It wasn't something that was just kind of presented to you.
Right, because I mean we do the pre-shift protocols with the temperature check, and there's a questionnaire about symptoms, and we're very diligent about doing all that.
All right, Jamie. I mean, how did it happen for you? Was it kind of the similar story, or?
A fairly similar story. I mean, we, again, as I think every business, I mean, if you don't, you're lucky, but every business is going to end up in this situation where one of your employees tests positive, and then you have to decide what to do. And in our case, we were, one of the earlier ones in the area. What happened in our situation was we had two people. Starting from the beginning, my staff knew if you were feeling sick and we had several people who would call in just as you normally would in a business. Oh, I don't feel so good, whether they drank too much the night before, who knows what. We told them, don't come in. If you're not feeling well, you're not coming in. Go get tested, make sure that that's not the situation. And we'll go from there. So we had two employees who did. They said, I don't remember exactly what day it was, but they said, hey, I don't think I can make it to work. I don't feel well. We say, go get tested. Don't come in. You're off schedule until, we know otherwise. They came back, and I don't know how testing is like up there, Peter, but, down here, it's a nightmare. But they let us know. They were both within a few hours, actually, said our test came back, we're positive. I immediately shut it down. It was a Friday morning, so we just shut down on a Friday, which obviously is not, didn't help us any. That was pretty rough. And because testing was such a mess down here, I required everybody on the staff to go get tested. So I've got about 25 people roughly, and these tests took me and my two managers. We went and got tested that day. And got our test back, luckily, within 3 days. Most of my staff didn't get their results back for 10 days, some of them up to 2 weeks. So you can imagine, okay, I've got 3 employees. Now I've got 4 employees. You wait 6 days. Okay, now I've got, 7 employees. I couldn't even open the restaurant with the employees I had because we didn't have any results back. That was a real eye opener to me, because we've been battling this thing as a world or as a nation for months and months, and here we are 3-4 months in, and you can't even get a test back for 2 weeks. What good does that even do you at that point?
Right. Well, and Pete, Peter, that's actually what I was wanting to ask you too. Was that the similar thing there? Because I know. Well, I also actually wanted to ask you guys. It sounds like you got results really quick from the person who was actually positive in your restaurant. Were they prioritizing restaurant workers who absolutely thought they had it, so you get the test back quick? Or
I don't believe so. Maybe our testing is just different up here than in Florida.
But about that one initial positive case, with the did they prioritize that? I know the rest of the staff, obviously, that's not what I heard, but
no.
Really? Okay. All right. So what about you then, Peter? Because Jamie's telling us, somewhere upwards of 10 days in some cases.
Mm-hmm. No. So, like I said earlier, I kind of knew this might happen. So, I contacted someone that I knew at another restaurant in town that had already had this happen to them, and they said, "Here's where you need to go. This certain hospital. You can walk in, you can get tested same day with no appointment, no referral from a doctor, and we all got the results within 36 hours. Now the key was communicating with my staff, like, hey, you need to go, I found out on Sunday night, I called every single one of them, you need to go tomorrow, because time is money in our business.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
I could see, Jamie, how you would just be supremely frustrated with having to wait so long. It's just like
It was unbelievable.
hemorrhaging cash when you're closed like that.
Yeah, well, and
100%.
that was going to be one of the other questions, is that how did you guys manage that? Because the tests they do vary state from state as far as the time length. And like you were saying, Jamie, it just kind of kept building up. So, well, now I'm down 3 people. Now I'm down 4 people.
Right.
How did you manage that? Did you put out a message to your customer base and let them know that you're a little shorthanded? Or, I mean, did you mention the situation at all, or just say, please be patient?
And kind of going on to some other topics you're going to touch on, I'm sure, but we posted that day and said, hey, we were just transparent and honest and said we had a couple people test positive. We're going to shut down, do the right thing, and, more or less until further notice. For the most part, we got a lot of really good positive feedback. Stay safe. Hope everybody's healthy. Can't wait till you come back, that type of thing, which is great. We obviously love that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a few people who, for some reason, whether it be misinformation or I still don't really understand what causes this type of reaction. But we had some people who kind of punched back at us and said, "Oh, now you're responsible for this whole pandemic or whatever." And it's kind of like, wait a minute, we don't have to be transparent. I mean, there's a lot, and not to call anybody out, but there's plenty of businesses out there that are having people test positive and sweeping it under the rug, continuing operating, and not telling the public that this is what's going on, which, I understand in the sense that, hey, if you're going to get pushback for being honest, then maybe you're not going to be honest, especially if you're, a big corporate chain and you've got, millions and millions and millions of dollars to worry about. I mean, I guess I can understand that, but
at the end of the day,
it's tough. It's tough because if you're honest and you get a couple people beating you up, how social media is, that builds and builds and builds. And we went through a really tough few days after that because we just had some real a-holes out there, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, it was a little unbelievable. So
what about you, Peter? I mean, did you have the same reaction, or how did you handle the public reaction and get it out there?
We did the same thing. I posted immediately on Facebook. I mean, I've got a ton of people on my Facebook page. I think I have 11,000 people. So the overwhelming response was exactly what Jamie said. It was just, people were overwhelmingly supportive. Now, the other side of that coin is the newspaper picked up on it and they put an article in the paper, and that's where you got the people that were nasty, and I kind of had to, I just kind of had to have tough skin, because one thing I've learned over the years is I do not argue with people on Facebook, so
yeah,
the newspaper has this article on Facebook, and it was so hard for me to just bite my tongue, people that had misinformation. And frankly, there's a lot of people that are just miserable, and they like to get on their keyboard and just type, but like Jamie said, it's a tough thing because, we want to have integrity and do the right thing. But what happens when we do that is we shot ourselves in the foot financially, but I think it'll come back. We're playing the long game here, and I've got a certain type of relationship with my clientele, and I like to be upfront and honest with them. And I think that they appreciate that about my business.
Well, you have to be upfront. Otherwise, when they find out you lie, you're going to lose everybody and it becomes worse. So why just make sure that you do everything upfront and, to the public. So
it's weird about restaurants though. Like if someone at Walmart, employee at Walmart gets the virus, you don't hear a peep about it. But if a restaurant gets it, it's like a nuclear, it's everywhere. It's like you got the Black Plague.
Right.
Well, I mean, I get it, because we're touching everything that they're eating off of, and as Jamie was talking about earlier, about you have to have your mask on when you come. You sit down, you can take it off when you eat, but if you're just talking, you have to have it on. If you get up and do a little dance, you have to put the mask on. I get it's difficult, and I mean, that'll keep a lot of people, the smart people who want to keep everybody safe. They're probably not going to want to go jump through those hoops. So they're just going to say, well, we'll cook inside tonight. So, I mean, that's the hardest thing about it right there, as well as getting, any kind of positive case in your area. So, I mean, was it on that note, was it able to get difficult to get the customers back after we opened? I mean, because you were telling me, Peter, you were closed for about 4 days, right? You said Monday through Friday. Jamie, how long were you closed?
We were closed for 10 days.
10 days, just because you're getting all those tests back from the employees.
Again, yeah, it was because we were waiting to get the test back, and even when we did open, even right now, we're still doing a no contact pickup. We've got some tables out in the dining room and whatnot. I mean, out in the parking lot for people to sit. But not only that, I spent a lot of money on new air conditioning and new equipment. I spent a lot of money on a lot of things because we were really taking off going into season. Once face masks were required and all that kind of stuff. My kitchen's an old school kitchen, and basically when I bought this place, I knew I'd have to do a lot of fixing up. Yeah. My timeline was a little longer than 3 months of pandemic. It's like, oh my God, I got to get all this stuff done, or we're not going to be able to. We, wearing a face mask in our kitchen would be pretty brutal, as it is or as it was. So I had to redo all the electric in this building, get these new AC units put in, and all of these things before we could even open back up. On top of getting the test back, in order to make sure everybody could wear a face mask and everything could be safe and all that kind of stuff. So, financially, like Peter was saying, it was a big hit. I mean,
on top of no revenue,
not making any money, I'm also spending a lot of money to try to make sure I can do this properly once we do get back to business. So.
All right, so that was just a question I completely forgot to ask. It was like, is there any kind of fiscal responsibility in trying to get back up aside from testing and stuff like that? But, I mean, as far as like getting that message out to the customers, I mean, was there an immediate response? Because you said they were overwhelmingly supportive at the beginning of it. Were people just kind of waiting, or was there some apprehension about them actually coming back? Or Peter, did you have people raring to go? They're like, yeah, Gelsosomo, I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
That's what people say. It didn't necessarily translate to that in my dining room.
Right.
Oh no. Okay.
I mean, we're in our slow time right now, regardless of pandemic or not. It's okay. Summer times are slow. People are out. It might be different, Jamie, for you. But I mean, we're doing about what we would normally do. Honestly, we're doing about what we would do if there was no pandemic, but it's just harder. It's harder,
Okay, so there's a lot of that, just that verbal support. Just it's a matter of if they actually come back. But I mean, right. They understand that it's not your fault. You didn't put that case in your restaurant, obviously. So, Jamie, like Peter was saying right there, summertime's a little slower for him. But I mean, you're down there in Safety Harbor. You're close to what is it? Not Fort Myers,
Tampa.
St.
We're
Petersburg.
in Tampa, St. Pete area. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is probably a pretty big time for you guys as far as getting tourists and stuff like that. Have you seen an influx, or did it go down a little bit?
It went down a lot. Part of that, actually, in Florida, the summer is actually in most areas of Florida is actually out of season, except for on the beach itself, because it's super hot. But I don't know, and I don't have the numbers to compare it to like Peter does, because I've only been open a year. So all I can do is look back 1 year and say, well, what were we doing? I can't really compare it to that either, because we were only open for 3 months at that point or whatever.
True.
Our sales are way down. We do have a lot of support, but I don't think you're ever going to see that negative side of it. It's not like people are going to come in and say, hey, just so you know, I read your post and I feel this way and that way. All you're going to see is what the flow of guests is, what that is. And we've been okay, but compared to what we were doing before the pandemic, or even compared to what we were doing when we were allowed to open up, we're way down. I mean, we're way down. So, could that be related to our transparency and letting people know what was going on? It could be, or it could just be season. I mean, we're doing more than we did last year this time, but again, we were only open for 3 months. So,
yeah.
It's hard to say what the effect was exactly, but I don't think you're going to know. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to send you a message or or like I said, stop by and tell you how they feel about the fact that you did this and what it makes them feel inside and how comfortable they are. I mean, you're not really going to know the answer to that. I mean, it's kind of a best guess kind of situation, I think. But
I mean, that's what those rating systems and platforms should be for, instead of just the rantings and ravings of somebody who just wants some attention. But that's my opinion. So moving on from that, before I politicize this, are there any measures, Peter, that you have actually added to your staff? Now I'll ask you the same question, Jamie. Are there any measures that you've added since that positive test that you're going to keep? Or, I mean, was there any extra procedures that you have now that you're going to keep?
Frankly, we've been following every safety protocol from the very beginning, so no, there wasn't anything that I added.
Okay. Is there anything that you've added since this all happened beginning of March that you're going to be keeping as far as like procedures?
Going forward that I'll be keeping, it's kind of up in the air, but I think Jamie mentioned earlier, public perception is a huge part of this. And we're one step away from being fully open. We're in stage 4 of 5, and stage 5 is fully open 100%. I would think that I would stick with the mask wearing and the sanitation procedures and stuff that we do, the disposable menus, the disposable condiments, that type of thing.
Uh-huh.
One of the things that was huge for me was a Wednesday night pizza buffet that I did, and of course we haven't done that since. And it's stuff like that I have to think about. And if I'm unable to bring the buffet back because of safety reasons, okay, what am I going to do on my Wednesday night now? That was huge for me, and I'll take a financial hit from not having it every week.
Right.
So there's a lot of things like that to consider. There's a lot of there's anxiety about, and I'm sure Jamie feels this, there's anxiety about losing revenue, and we don't know how long this is going to go, what's going to happen next. So it's like I'm in constant creative mode, trying to, what's the next thing I can do to boost revenue and keep people coming in. And it's nerve-wracking, frankly.
What about you, Jamie? Kind of the same question there.
Well, safety and sanitation, we're following all the procedures. I mean, we're wearing the gloves, wearing the masks to the point of where it's no contact. I mean, our only contact is going out and clearing the tables in the parking lot at this point, in between, whenever we can. Not all the time. We're not having somebody out there, but that's about it. So I don't know that you could get any safer besides, spraying bleach on people as they walk up or something. But, I mean, so are we going to keep those? Yes, we're going to keep those regulations as long as we're supposed to, as long as we're required to do that. Me personally, I hate it. I mean, I hate a server with I don't even go out to eat right now. I mean, it's not like I'm one of these people going out to eat. I mean, I don't want a server with gloves and a mask on. It freaks me out, and if it's at that point, then, it's probably best to not dine out. So I can't wait until those regulations are removed. But yeah, we're going to keep all those in place as long as we need to, and maybe even longer than that. Okay. But as far as revenue, I hate sounding like that, but unfortunately, when we started this, we thought, okay, a couple months, we made a plan. I'm sure Peter can agree with me on this. You make a plan for a couple months. You go, okay, this is going well. All right, we're making it through this pandemic. And that's exactly what happened when we first shut down. It was just a few of us there, and I'm trying to figure out how to keep people paid and keep, of course, people fed that still crave the pizza and will want to come by. Beyond that, I thought, once this thing gets over, we'll get back to normal. Well, there we went back to normal, and then we got shut back down again. So who knows how long this is going to last? I don't want to sit here and say, I need more revenue, but that's the reality. I'm not going to be able to sit here and survive and pay, employees and all those kinds of things if I can't increase my revenue. I mean, it's just the balance is just real challenging right now. I mean, real challenging. So.
Yeah, and there's that backlying passion of just making pizza, but in the end, you got to be able to pay to make pizza for people. So
Sure.
yes, I mean, yeah, you have to worry about the revenue. Don't try to be any kind of hero and not worry about that at the detriment of yourself, your family, and your staff, and also your customers too. So, I mean, that's some great information right there. Are there on that line right there, because you guys are businesses. You're in this for business, which means to sell a product, to make some money, to support yourselves. Um, what are some of the best ways that people can prevent getting to this point in their restaurant? I guess this kind of ties in with some of the best advice. It's like one of the last questions, real quick. Just so what is some of the best advice you can give anyone about the health of their staff? How to test, how to manage positives. But I mean, some of the best ways that actual customers, you can maybe get customers to help prevent this as well. Just any kind of enlightenments that you've had in the last few weeks, because I know you guys have been through the ringer. It's insane. You have to deal with this and then a positive. So, Peter, I mean, is there anything that you want to say as far as like?
I'll let you go first on that one, Peter.
Speaking to other operators, what I would recommend, which I was able to do, and I think it was of utmost importance, is assume that this is going to happen to your restaurant and have a plan of action in place. Like I was closed 4 days, and it wasn't, it was bad, but it wasn't, I wasn't closed 10 days like Jamie. That hurts twice, almost 3 times as much. And I think if you have a plan in place, you're just going to be much more prepared to get it done. And so what I mean by a plan is already have a list of the places that they can go and get tested tomorrow if it happens today. And you got to be able to communicate that with your staff. Have a company lined up to come in and clean. I was able to actually trade pizza for cleaning at my restaurant, so it made it. My food cost is cheaper, so it made it more affordable for me. And then another thing that I'll say, and Jamie, I don't know if you ran into this either. There's when you go to get tested, they'll call you with your results. There's a thing that's called My Chart, at least here in Indiana, where you can get online and sign up for this, and you'll get your results faster than if you just wait for them to call you. And once I discovered that, I was on the horn again to all my people, having them sign up for it. So.
Yeah, fortunately for me, most of my staff is much, much younger than me, and they probably knew about that before I did. But that was the results still were, up to 10 days to like I said, 2 weeks. It wasn't, some were in earlier, but for the most part, it was way, way, way behind. So and as far as advice I'd give, I mean, what Peter's saying is exactly accurate. Have a plan, know that it's going to happen to you more than likely. So have a plan in place. Beyond that, I mean, unfortunately, I don't have any answers. I wish I did. I wish I was an expert on this, but I'm not, and nobody is. So besides having a plan and knowing you're going to have to react in some way and doing it as smart as you can is really the only thing you can do. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I did it the best way or that I know how to handle this type of a situation, but you've got to be obviously safe. My best thing, and just kind of going back to what Peter's saying with the revenue, is I don't want to come off as, come on down, half price pizzas, bring a busload of people or whatever. You can't do that. You can't act like nothing's happening. I mean, you definitely have to come off as responsible in whatever it is that you're doing, but beyond that, I don't have an answer for how to handle this. I mean, we kind of all have to figure it out as we go. Luckily, we have obviously a core group of people here, a bunch of resources. We can call each other and talk to each other and see exactly like we're doing now. What has this person been through? What can I expect? So, that's probably about the best we can really do right now, besides having a plan, like Peter said.
That was a lot of talking for somebody who had no plan whatsoever. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I'm good at talking, man. Mouth keeps going.
Well, no, but I mean, absolutely. Just I like what Peter's done. He's always planning for that rainy day. Hiding those nuts away. Just make sure you have that plan. Jamie, I wanted to ask about you. 'Cause you were telling me that you guys immediately went and got tested, and you guys had to sit in some of those lines that were like 12 hours just in your car, like a drive-through
Yep.
test. But I mean, it's that bad down there. Not that bad, but I mean, they have the free testing, but the lines are that bad because everybody wants it. Peter,
Well,
I mean, up there, I mean, I got tested down here, and I had to find one that, like you said, didn't need an appointment, didn't need a referral. And worked with my insurance, and then luckily enough, we have an urgent care across the street. So, I mean, was there a difference in Indiana? Do you guys have some of those speed lines that are taking forever?
Well, if you go online and you try to look up testing sites, it's like you got to find the perfect storm, because like some of them it's free, but you got to make an appointment. Well, that doesn't work for our situation. Some of them you have to be exhibiting symptoms, and it's like I just happened to find this one that was free. You didn't need a referral, and you could just walk in, and the whole thing for me was in and out in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Well,
for all my employees.
wow. Okay. I not to make you feel bad, Jamie. Mine was kind of the same. I get to the urgent care, and there was nobody in front of me, and the worst part was when she stabbed my eyeball through my nose. I mean, but so you guys had to sit in 12-hour. I mean, like you said, it's a perfect storm. Find out the one that doesn't need the appointment, doesn't need the referral. You have to be able to do that at a moment's notice, because
when it happened to us, it was right as, I'm sure you guys heard, right as Florida became like, the center of chaos. So it was a Thursday night, Friday morning that we shut down. We went in. We were at the testing place by 11:15, and we didn't get tested till 8:30 at night.
Wow.
So we were in your car. It was a drive-through deal, right? So we're literally sitting, me and Dustin and Joey, my managers, we're sitting in the car for 8.5 hours, just waiting, and they shut off the line in the car right behind us. So for the day, they cut people off at like 11:20, and still didn't get through till 8:30 at night. Now, we did get our test back by Monday, which was much faster than everybody else, because I think we got in early enough. As soon as that wave hit Florida, it's like everybody got tested in the same 3-4 days. And I think that's what really screwed up the results from ever coming back. And I'm sure you guys have seen on the news, this place's testing was all screwed up. That place's testing was all screwed up. And, so Florida's been a total mess as far as testing's going. And that's obviously been in national news as far as that is. But that was all because of the timeline. I mean, it happened to us right at the same time. Everybody was freaking out about, Florida just going crazy. So everybody was getting tested, not just obviously my staff, but I think that's what put us behind. But 8.5 hours, I mean,
it's dedication though. You got to make sure everybody's safe. So,
and on top of it, Jamie, during that 8 hours, your head's going 100 different directions with everything. It makes it even worse.
Well, this was at the same time, we had posted up, hey, we're closed down, and did that post. I'm in the car with my guys waiting to get tested, and there's people, I don't want to get too much into it, but there's people that just started ripping us apart for the entire time we're in this car. I'm sitting here reading people, tearing us apart on social media while I'm in line for 8.5 hours to get tested. And it's kind of like you're just scratching your head like, what else am I supposed to do here? This is nuts, So it was an interesting day, that's for sure. And then, like you said, they stab you in the brain when it's all done.
I give her this. It was quick, but I will never, ever forget that sensation when it hit. I mean, seriously, it hit this eyeball right here.
Yeah.
I can still feel it right on the inside. That was bad. And the worst part is when they did it, I had to sneeze immediately. I'm like, don't sneeze, don't snap this thing off. Yeah, it's not fun. Everybody, if you can get tested, do it for sure. But I mean, again, don't take it out on your restaurateurs, because they are fighting this just as much as you, and they're trying to give you a good quality, healthy product. So at that point, I want to we're going to wrap up here real quick. If there are any other comments or questions over there on the side, you guys can let me know. But what are some positive affirmations? Peter, we talk about a lot of depressing shit on this show, and I'm allowed one curse word, and I'm going to say it right there. So I've used it up. Don't swear.
Have I used mine yet?
You get one. Okay, you get one. Peter, I know you won't. But I mean, we cover a lot of depressing stuff on the show. Why don't you give us just one positive affirmation for operators and customers out there, real quick? What's the best thing we can look forward to?
Guys, we're gonna get through this. I mean, we're tough, resilient people, and we just keep pushing and keep showing up. And when we have that vision, I believe that good things will happen for all of us. Just keep pushing.
All right, I like it. It's to the point, and it's very affirmative. I feel like I can go out and mow my lawn today. Let's do this. Jamie, what's yours? And remember, you just have one. Okay, just take it easy.
This guy, no. I think for me, the most positive thing, and this is the way I feel about a lot of things in this business. That's why I've been in it as long as I have, and it has been a real team building exercise. Hate to be corporate, but me and my staff have gotten a lot closer. We've, it's really built our family, being held up for months and months just together. That's really grown a big connection for us. It's grown a big connection with some of our regulars that come in, the support that's there. It's been very reassuring to see that you are a necessary business. You are, you do bring some positivity into people's lives through feeding them, through, giving them a beer, through just talking to them, and just, having that feeling that you're how do I want to say it? You're a better restaurant. You're a more wanted, necessary business to a lot of people and a lot of guests and a lot of employees. And that's, to me, has been a reassuring thought the whole time, because that's what I'm in the business for. I mean, I'm in the business to, you said to make money. I've never been in business to make money. As silly as that sounds. I've been in the business because I love this business. I love being in the restaurant business, particularly the pizza business. And if you're going to be so positive about this, as you're asking us to do, that's what I would say. That's what I would say. That's
right.
been reassuring to me.
Well, no, we definitely appreciate it. I mean, we can't, trust me, there's only so much of my own cooking that I can take too. So we always want to get out there and support local as much as we can. And I think people understand how much local tends to support them as well, as far as in the community. So just, be easy. If somebody has a shop that gets a case that's positive, be easy. I don't want to say don't be afraid to go back. Just make sure they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. But I mean, it's kind of like Jamie and Peter said, it's probably going to happen to all of us. So, guys, I really want to thank you for all your time. Thank you for everybody who tuned in and watched the show here. So I've got right here, if you want to reach out to Jamie, you can reach him at, nonaslicehouse.com or the Facebook, which is Nona Slice House. And then I've also got here, as far as Justice. All right, I always say Gelsosomo, so I know how to spell it. How do you pronounce it, Peter?
Gelsosomo.
Gelsosomo, but there's not an A in there, so it's Gelsosomos.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can find them at gelscrownpoint.com or the Facebook page for Gels Crown Point. But it's Gelsosomos, and it's some good pizza, and it's a good atmosphere. And you recently joined with, or is it a brewery or a region on tap?
No, well, basically, I added a bar to my restaurant, so
nice.
I built a brand new bar. So yeah, it's been interesting because I don't drink. So
well, all right, well, be strong, my brother. But yeah, so Jamie, we wish you luck down there in your first just over a year now. But man, what a year, right?
Yeah,
and even you too, Peter. I mean, like adding so many new things just during this. So you guys are pillars of the industry. We want people to reach out to you if they have any questions. I'm so proud to have you guys on my team. I'll say I think we're going to be back here next Tuesday. On Thursday, we have a webinar for Hunger Rush at noon. So if you guys want to go to pmq.com, you can sign up for that. But until then, guys, thank you so much. Everybody stay safe and stay sane. And we'll see you guys next time.